Okay.
This tutorial will show you how to do quadratic scatter plots with the calculator, as well as creating quadratic regression models for the same set of data. As in the previous tutorial, we got to first start by entering data into the table, L1 and L2. For this example, I'm going to use speed and miles per gallon. Speed is my independent variable, miles per gallon is my dependent variable. Notice I have information on different speeds with different miles per gallon for a particular vehicle, whatever vehicle you want to talk about. So we're going to first start by entering data as we did before. You hit your stat button, make sure your edit menu is highlighted, select one. Now I have the information from the table before, and we got to first clear that out like I did before. Clear it out each of the columns. I highlight each of the column headers starting with L1, hit the clear button, arrow down, it clears out column L1. Arrow over, highlight L2, hit the clear button, arrow down, it clears out L2 or your dependent values. Going back over, I'm going to input speed in L1 and miles per gallon information in L2, starting with 30. So I hit 30, enter, 35, enter, 40, enter, 40 a second time, enter, 45, enter, 50, enter, 55, enter, 60, enter, 65, enter, 65 a second time, enter, and 70, enter. So as you can see, there's 11 pieces of information. Arrow over to L2. I'm going to put the values for miles per gallon. In L2, hit 18, enter, 20, enter, 23, enter, 25, enter, 25 a second time, enter, 28, enter, 30, enter, 29, enter, 26, enter, 25, enter, and 25 a second time. Make sure L1 and L2 line up. Make sure the amount of data match. If they don't, you made an error and you're entering. If they do, we're good to go. To generate the scatter plot, we do as we did before. We make sure that the stat plot's turned on. So I'm going to hit second stat plot. I have it on from before. Now if it's not on, we turn it on like I showed you how to do in the previous tutorial. When it's turned on and everything's set, you hit zoom 9 again. Now notice this data goes up and then goes down, so it's not quite linear. Okay, it appears more that it's quadratic in nature. That's how you know it's possible that we're going to probably use a quadratic model versus a linear model on the calculator. So the scatter plot is a good tool to determine which method we're going to use next to find the regression model based on the shape of the graph. Since this is kind of curved in nature, we're going to assume it's quadratic because that's the shapes of quadratic functions, and we're going to go and generate a quadratic model. To do that, we hit the stat button again. You arrow over to calc again. But instead of doing linear regression, you arrow down to 5. QADREG, quadratic regression. Hit enter a second time. Here it gives us the general form of ax squared plus bx plus c, which is the general form of a quadratic equation. It gives me the a, it gives me the b, it gives me the c, and since I have the regression correlation coefficient turns on, it gives me r squared, which again tells me how accurate this is going to be. Closer to 1 means it's more accurate, closer to 0 means it's less accurate. So in this case, if I want to use the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c as my model, a, according to the calculator, is minus 0.017. B is equal to 1.93. And c is equal to minus 25.34. Plugging that in for A, B, and C into our model, we get the regression equation of y equals minus 0.017 x squared plus 1.93x minus 25.34. If I graph this on top of the Scatter plot, I simply do as before, hit y equals. If anything's in there, clear it out. It's already cleared out, and put this equation in. Minus 0.017x squared plus 1.93x minus 25.34. Hit graph. You can see it starts turning downward as the data does. This concludes my tutorial on creating quadratic scatter plots and quadratic regression models.